When a meteorite hits the Earth, the impact can cause temperatures so high the ground itself melts and is flung up into the atmosphere. As the droplets of molten rock fall back to Earth, they cool very quickly and form tiny glass spheres, often smaller than a millimetre. In places in the world where we know meteorites have hit, geologists expect to find these glass particles. But when geologist Mario Wanya examined sand from beaches in southern Japan, he found glass spheres fused to extra material.
We find debris that include metals, and we find also debris close to rubber.
And this material isn't found naturally in the area.
These debris do not match at all the composition of the ground, of the bedrock.
In fact, it isn't natural at all, but man-made. As Wanya and his fellow scientists considered a range of explanations for where these unusual glass particles might have come from, one option was suggested by the history of where they were found.
Of course, being in the Bay of Hiroshima, only a few kilometers away from ground zero, the first and obvious explanation would be the atomic bomb.
Scientists have made the atomic bomb at last. The first one was dropped on a Japanese city this morning.
On the 6th of August 1945, the United States of America dropped an atomic bomb on the city of Hiroshima. The conditions created by the blast, intense heat and an upward movement of material into the cooler atmosphere, would have allowed the formation of these glass particles in the same way as a meteorite strike.
The firebomb, after explosion, of course, moved up, and there was a draft, and a lot of the material on the ground was sucked into the cloud. What happened there is a matter of speculation, but we find that the resulting debris as part of these glasses, so everything sort of matches the physical model that we have of conditions within the atomic cloud and the resulting formation of glasses.
The researchers haven't yet visited Nagasaki, the only other city to have been bombed with an atomic weapon, to see if they can find similar material there. But they have been looking at studies from nuclear test sites, such as the Trinity test in New Mexico 1 month before the attacks on Japan. At this site, the surrounding sand was vitrified or turned into glass.
So we have ample description of these glasses. The glasses are on the ground, but it has been argued that many of the glasses include particles that have been sent into the cloud and then dropped vertically. Apart from that, very little has been described. There are descriptions of some atomic explosions in the Pacific. They are very old. The illustrations are very poor, but the composition includes always spheres, and very often welded spheres.
As Wanya and his team believe the glass from Japan was formed during a nuclear explosion, there is of course the question of if it's radioactive.
We have not been able to identify any radioactivity at this stage. Of course, the samples we studied are very few. They may not be representative for the whole. Radioactivity is not something that is associated with all the debris formed by an atomic blast, at least, after 70 years.
Of the glasses formed at the Trinity test site, only those that are rich in calcium are still radioactive.
I have just returned from the White House, where it has just been announced that the United States is now using an atomic bomb, the most powerful explosive yet developed.
The Hiroshima glass debris, which has been found up to 30 kilometres from the bomb site, is estimated to be thousands of tons in total. So if this is where a bulk of the city of Hiroshima has ended up, and it hasn't been identified before, why did nobody wonder where that material had gone?
This is for me the most surprising element of the whole project, given the richness of this material, that we discovered something so obvious that had never been the attention of anybody. Immediately after the explosion, the attention of people was, of course, directed towards the tremendous human misery that happened at the time. Scientists who collected samples at Hiroshima in the aftermath of the explosion did also restrict their analysis to radioactivity.
Now that these glass particles are being studied, they offer a huge amount of new information on what a nuclear bomb can do to a city.
Scientifically, we can, of course, learn what happened to an urban environment when it is destroyed by an atomic bomb. That has never been described before, in the sense of the resulting debris falling back from the cloud. That has not been described. We have many studies dedicated to test sites, but this is the first study that handles the case of an urban environment, a very complex environment where we have a mixture of different compositions, which is not found in nature.
By the notion that all that had been caused by one weapon, one instrument.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. I suppose we all thought that, one way or another.